Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Come to you live from Brooklyn, New York, folks. Lovely, as always, to see you here. That is a fact. Folks, lovely to be here with you. Let me count the ways. First, let's hear it from you. Where are you from? What are you grateful for? Grateful today. What's sunshine is one, but I said it out loud, so I need another one. What else? Well, there's so many. How about that one, for cripe's sake? Okay, folks. Yeah, hit me. Where are you at? What are you grateful for? Excited to be here with you today. It's Freaky Friday. We are making up our own meditation based on your request. That is the plan for today. I was thinking it would be great to have Willow on the line, and then I was like, let's wait a minute, because Willow is a monster. Willow is officially a gremlin, and while she's fun to have on the line, she is also a pain as soon as we don't want her to be there. That is what happens. So we'll bring her back soon, but as soon as she's done, it's like a whole thing. I have to just leave to go get her and bring her back and that kind of thing. Chris Ingram joining from Guatemala. Guatemala, grateful for Fridays. Isn't that lovely? At some point we're like, these will be called Fridays, and we put a label on those suckers, and it's just stuck. How about that? Yeah, so what is up, folks? What is going on? What's new? What's happening? And what do you want to meditate on today? Today we're going to meditate and practice. We've been running around some specific themes, but question for you is, what do you want to do? Hopefully we can get Discord working today. Yeah, let's give it a try. And let's see. What do folks want to meditate on today? What floats your boat? For me, what's going on? I'm excited to have a little bit of time off this weekend. It's been pretty hectic. And just chill, see some nature, maybe take the dog for a drive. I think I can take the dog into nature without any trouble. It's touching pavement where dogs have peed. That's the problem. Good morning, Jean from Brooklyn. Grateful for time management. Oh, excellent. Well, good for you. I could use a little of that. Good old time management. Okay, I'm crooked here. Here we go. That's my normal framing. What else is up, folks? This is me for a Zoom call, and this is me for a live stream. What else? Chris Ingram, let's work with good old kind awareness. Excellent. Okay. And hopefully I'll make it a little more clear how that relates to the loving kindness. So I can give a little bit of background on that while people are filing in here. Nate, welcome. Grateful for sunshine and my second COVID shot. Congrats. I want to meditate on how to stop overwhelm from procrastination in my work life. Okay, great. Stop overwhelm. Okay, so overwhelm, kind awareness. Great. This is what I like. Things that don't seem to make any sense together, and then we can create something that does. Making sense of the world is my job. Okay, overwhelm, procrastination, and that comes up for me. That comes up at times. So, and kind awareness. I think there is a fix in there that's pretty clear. So, folks, anyone else? Any other requests? Anyone here interested in any specific kind of meditation? So far, pretty straightforward. I think we know what we're doing, but little wrench. I was gonna say monkey in the wrench, monkey in the gears. That is the wrong metaphor. A little wrench. I guess it's a monkey wrench in the gears. I guess it could be any kind of wrench. Any wrench in the gears is not going to be good. It's the old wrench in the gears, which that must have happened many times for people to realize this is not good. You drop your wrench in the gears again. Jim, oh Jesus, why do we give you this job here at Wrench USA? This wrench making factory. What if you drop your wrench in the gears of the wrench making machine? 1986. Oh, glad to be here. In the hands of a meditation chief. Well, 1986. 86. Great to have you here. Great to have you here. Hey, P.S. 1986-0, is this your first time here? This might be 1986-0's first time here, folks. So I think we know what the score is. Welcome, 1986-0. At least this is your first time that I recall you saying anything here. So welcome. It is lovely to see you here. Thank you for joining. Great to be here with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely, lovely. Okay, folks. So far we have a pretty solid meditation going. Any other requests before we begin? So we're going to be having you meditate for 30 minutes. I'm going to encourage you to meditate in stillness. If your system, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely happy to have the space. If you start to become overwhelmed, which someone mentioned overwhelm in the chat, exactly. I feel like I just want this to be like a never-ending like storm of, sweet emojis. Wish there was a setting where it just went and went and went and went and never stopped. I'm sure that would be very annoying very quickly. So the point of it all is that you're going to keep the body still unless there's overwhelm. If there's overwhelm, go ahead and make any minor adjustments. If you need to make a major adjustment, you can just stand up or open the eyes, stop the meditation. But you want to make the adjustment proportional to what you need. So a little adjustment, a little more adjustment, a little bigger adjustment if the overwhelm doesn't work out. You can also just generally make an adjustment if you want. Just wait 30 seconds or so. Make sure to do so slowly and mindfully. And practicing in stillness can help advance your practice. So then the premise here is we're going to meditate for 25 minutes. And in that time, we're going to have a great time. So find that nice, comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Ideally with your knees lower than your hips. I'm very happy of my analog I made the other day. The idea that my shoulders are my hips in this case, and people usually sit kind of like this. This is like how people usually sit in a chair. So my neck is the lower spine. But we want to make the hips so they're lower than the knees so they're lower than the hips, which allows the spine to straighten. And sometimes people will really sit with their knees really low, and this allows the spine to straighten, but otherwise it's sort of, the spine does this, and after a few minutes that starts to hurt. Okay, folks, so find that nice, comfortable position that you can maintain. Check, check. Excellent. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Just tell me when you're ready. Okay, let's go. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. Just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all the previous moments and the way that we escape the pull of all of this momentum. In part is to get clear on our motive in this moment. What is our motivation? So for a moment, tuning into what our lives and our experience of the world would be like if we were at peace, if we were happy in a way that felt fulfilling, not just sticky, sweet joy, contented. And making a commitment to practice in a way that will cultivate this, whatever form that takes. And beginning by physically relaxing the body, we can relax the whole body all together, or we can move through and relax piece by piece. So we can relax the head, including the muscles behind the eyes, the back of the tongue. We can relax the shoulders. We can relax the arms. And as we relax the hands, this is an area with massive numbers of nerve endings collected. So feeling the high definition sensation of letting go, even if the hands are already relaxed. Let go even more deeply than you can physically feel. Relaxing the torso, including the hips and the lower back, and relaxing the lower back so deeply that it relaxes the hips. Relax the legs. And relax the feet. And now relaxing in all of the places that we just went through all together, rather than any one individually. In order to gather these as one general collection, one large category, this requires our awareness, the more spacious part of the mind. So we're not trying to add each one together one by one. We're getting them all in one soft cloud. And we're going to do what's called a whole and part meditation. So if we're familiar with this, we can take in all of our sensing as one large whole. Or if this is somewhat new, we can just take in the body, all of the body as one big category. When we have a sense of this overall experience, in the mind we can label that whole. And our resting position will be in the whole, in the overall totality. And because we're resting in the overall whole, distractions will come in the form of parts. Little details within the whole. But we only need to notice that if we're really pulled into some sensation. So for instance, we're hanging out with the overall total experience, and suddenly the mind is deeply pulled to some distraction. Let's say the sensations in the left hand. Not just noticing some detail, but really pulled in. There's no way to get pulled away from these. It's just the center of our attention suddenly. In that case, we would label that part. And then introduce that sensation to all the other sensations around it. The sensations of the arm, where the hand is resting. If we're using more than the body, the sounds and mental imagery around that. Just introducing all of these bits and pieces until we arrive back at the whole, showing the mind that there is a path from every part right back to the whole. Once again, resting in the whole, seeing it clearly, vividly. And repeating the process. If there's any sense of distraction of any kind, it's not a problem, it's just a part. If there's any sense of a self or a viewer, a sense of me, if there's any part of us that is assessing this as going wonderfully or terribly, enjoying or frustrated, it's just a part. And allowing this totality, this whole, recognizing how welcoming it is, no matter what comes into the total, the overall awareness. It is welcomed. In this way, awareness is compassionate, kind, non-judgmental. We can be judgmental all day, but this awareness doesn't need anything to be different. It doesn't even need us to stop being judgmental. Whatever it comes in contact with is simply known. This is what we call kind awareness. We can even, with the slightest bit of effort, charge this awareness with one tiny ion of kindness, of friendliness. Seeing how little effort we need in order to charge this soft vapor of awareness with just a touch of welcoming kindness. Distractions arise, some part of us may wake up and say, I don't like this. That doesn't mean we're doing something wrong. That simply means a part is communicating. So accepting that part, the part that doesn't like or does like, has simply one flavor in this large pool. And letting go of our labels of whole and part, we're going to come up with a phrase for our kind awareness. And this will likely be somewhat individual. But perhaps this spacious kind awareness might say, may you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. Gently, kindly repeating the phrase. Or maybe this kind awareness says, welcome. Welcome. Or sometimes I see you. I see you. Whatever phrase feels like it fits, not worrying too much, just picking one is fine. If there's a part that's concerned about the perfect phrase, just know that's a part. Simply letting this kind awareness broadcast this message to the whole system, everything we can see, hear, or feel. May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. This is a perfect place to remain, just the system repeating our phrase and whatever comes in contact with this awareness. It's simply welcomed in this way. This is an incredibly skillful training, teaching the body and mind that this is even possible. Being sure that we include any sense of an observer or a doer. It's just another part. Not a problem, just a part. And of course, at times, parts of us that struggle, parts of us that can feel deeply alone or lost. Vulnerable parts of us can arise. And this is quite natural. If we suddenly feel that we are that part, we are the part that struggles, this is me. This simply means that the system has identified with a part. It's taken on that role. Without needing to change it, without needing it to be different. Simply using our phrase. May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. Or, I see you. I see you. Whatever works. Remembering, too, that the understanding mind, what we sometimes refer to as the intellect, this is also simply another part. The part that gets it, that understands, often there to manage, to keep things in control. I see you. I see you. much of the difficulty of our various parts is that they feel isolated, alone. They don't know to look to this spacious, kind awareness as the source for what they're truly looking for. These parts of us take over because they think they need to be a kind of God to run the world, to manage everything. Largely because they don't know that we have this powerful capacity. In fact, we are, by our nature, this spacious, kind, unlimited capacity. So much of our healing is to simply allow these to become friends, to slowly, over time, cultivate this relationship between the whole and the part. I see you. I see you. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness. Often our parts experience the world as somewhat isolated. They only have their own little view of the world. So whatever parts have arisen in this practice, we're going to show them a tiny bit of light entering the eyelids. It's rare that these various parts get to see through our eyes. Eventually, allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting the spaciousness of awareness, the spaciousness of seeing, letting these two merge. The wide open space that the eyes can see and the spaciousness of this kind awareness, letting those become one. And still staying with the practice, allowing the eyes to begin to take in our visual experience and allow this experience to be on display for our various parts. And in this way, letting this particular moment be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so without needing to let go of any of that, Often we can have this sense of at the end of a meditation, it's time to toss that off and bring back the old operating system and kind of rush through. But know that this integration, these sort of mix of what's the meditation experience and not meditation experience, this is actually the brackish water that we learn to swim in over time. This is how these two worlds end up building off each other. This is how we learn to rewrite the mind, the brain, and get those parts to become integrated into the whole. So, briefly, as we get ready here to make our reports, I'm going to give a quick explanation of what we just did. And in the meantime, feel free to use that digital technology, use those digits to write down what your experience was like, or you can chat with us here in the Discord, and we can talk about your experience. So, briefly, what we did here is, for me, it's very fun and interesting, but there's this overlap between, worlds in meditation and worlds in psychology. Internal family systems is already an overlap. It already is, and it's to some degree, a Venn diagram of these two worlds. But I think what I am very interested in is further exploring that Venn diagram, expanding it a little bit at times. So what we did today was use traditional meditation technology. So we're using some Theravada, the oldest, Buddhist manifestation, earliest written Buddhism. We're using a labeling system to divide the world. Dividing the world is a very early Buddhist strategy. You break the world up into pieces. You break it up enough, eventually you see this spaciousness. So we're dividing it to whole and part. Then we sort of rested in the whole, general experience. And that is a tendency that tends to be more of one of later stage Buddhism, where the mind is actually, rather than slicing, is actually, sort of compiling. And we're resting there. We're noticing the mind is pulled into parts. And rather than just saying, oh, as a part, ignore that, my goal is to rest in the whole. That's the good place to be. What we actually do is show each of these parts its path back. Okay, there's a sensation in my hand, show it the sensations in my arm, whatever sensations are around it, show it that it actually can move right back. Because typically the mind perceives each of these little bits, each of these little separate sensations, etc., as separate from the whole. They are not connected. Whereas over time, if we build that connection over and over and over from whole to part, it shows the mind, oh, there's a very quick relationship here. So this is very interesting to me because in internal family systems therapy, it's a lot about building a part to whole, or in IFS it's called self, which is a very smart use of language. It's a very good linguistic trick to call that spacious kind of awareness just you. It's who you are. So it's a good trick, and we can, ourselves learn or teach students, etc. We can teach them those skills without ever having to get into the stickiness or the intensity of any particular part that's overwhelming, etc. So just teaching them a meditation that's the relationship of whole to part shows people over and over again that relationship is fully navigatable and is easy. It's actually comfortable, and there's something very pleasant about hanging out in this whole overall experience. Getting people over time to start to treat that as home. I could reside here, I could rest here. Well, that's one step closer to them experientially knowing that as themselves. So, we could break this into a dozen meditations. One is just to keep people hanging out with the whole, keep them realizing it's a kind of refuge, and then eventually getting to a place where they can recognize, oh, maybe this is actually me, this is myself, this is who I actually am. And of course, if you had that experience today and you saw it as a thing the mind could do, but not really me, well, of course it's at least part of us because we had that experience. There's no way to experience something that is not part of us in some way. So that's maybe a little bit of a link for the mind for today. But just showing the mind that relationship over and over and a million times, as many times as you can get the mind to do that. There's a part right now, you're paying attention to maybe the movement of my hands or the part that understands right now, to introduce that back to the overall sensing experience. This is, on the meditation side, the classic way to help the system recognize that it is this totality that is free of a lot of these machinations and difficulties that come when we divide the world. Not a bad thing to do, but if we can't escape that, then it's not freedom, it's a prison. So that we're doing that. And then in internal family systems, we begin to, in a sense, look at the parts that are more complex. It's not just the sensations of the hand, it's the part that thinks that I'm just not good enough, or the part that just really like is mad at X, Y, and Z, or the part that is overwhelmed, or any of these more specific persona type parts. So identities, basically. What happens is we have two main relationships with these. We either notice them as a sensation or a set of sensations in the body, or a set of ideas, or the ABCs, affect, behavior, cognition. It's some constellation. We recognize them as that, or it is us, and it is our view. And it's not that, oh, there's this part of me that really seems to worry about getting this thing done. It's more that, oh my God, I can't do this meditation, I have to do this thing, this doesn't matter. And the system is identified. In IFS, they call it blended. So the two things are blended together, which is also, I like that language because it indicates that there are two things. And we simply, unblend. We simply observe where that is, maybe in the body. We observe its sort of manifestation, what constellation is it built out of. And then from there, we can begin to, again, show the relationship back from the part to the whole, the part to the whole. And a lot of what we're trying to do is build that neural connection a million times over again. And so I guess the central thesis of what I'm describing here is that we can build that neural network without ever even having to necessarily get into the nuts and bolts of the parts that are struggling, which can be hard because doing this on your own can be very difficult. So that is something that I think is important for the universe to know. We have a comment here from Jean, beginning to report Jean's experience here. Let's let the cyborg read this to us. This is my favorite way to find out what people says. Oh, we have Blue North. Blue North is here. Welcome. Let's hit Blue North with our traditional welcome. Welcome to Blue North. Very happy to have you here. As always, thank you for joining. Lovely as always. Excellent. Okay. Hello indeed. Okay, we have Jean here writing. Oops, a little crash. Let's try that again.
These meditations continue to go very peacefully for me, and they seem remarkably brief. I had to do a shoulder roll at one point to disperse tension, but otherwise felt physically well.
Great.
I've been blessed/cursed with a super good memory, and a few parts that arose were memories of stupid things I said or did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They enjoyed being told, "May you be peaceful," and managed to quiet down.
Okay. So what you're describing is a very good response, or a very positive response to whatever the phrase is. But we want to be clear, and this is anyone who's ever done a loving kindness practice, that you can give this loving kindness phrase and some part can be like, totally push back and be like, screw you, this is stupid, what a dumb meditation. I think in many traditions, you would ignore that. You'd say, oh, we're not trying to pay attention to that. We're trying to pay attention to these loving feelings in my body. That's what loving kindness is. So I'm going to pay attention to that. Actually, that is showing us a part that does not feel like its needs are being met by that phrase or that stance, etc. So that is lovely that those parts enjoyed being told, may you be peaceful. I thought you were going to say those parts very much did not enjoy hearing that. And that's good because they're communicating. It's communicating in a negative, like I do not like X. But that's great because process of elimination means we can try something else. So sometimes people ask how to communicate with their parts. And they say it's not saying anything. They're not saying anything. Well, it's helpful to remember, and this is a classic, meditation lesson. Neutrality is data. Like a non-response is a response. So if we say something to our parts, it could just be that it's actually working. We say, may you be peaceful, and the part's like, okay. Doesn't say anything. Often what we're looking for is some level of rebellion. We say, oh, may you be peaceful, and the part's like, shut the screw you, why do you tell me? Okay, so we now know that phrase doesn't work. But what's great is we have immediate feedback. So we can try something different. Maybe this is one reason why I use a few phrases. I see you. And that part might go, fine. Right? Okay, well, we're getting closer. Now we're learning how to communicate with that specific part. We're learning what it needs, etc. And then when we find the phrase that really works, maybe the phrase for this particular part that I'm imagining is welcome. And it's like, yeah, thanks. Okay. All right, welcome. And we'll notice as we do that as a repetitive phrase throughout the day that part will either jive with it or not. And we're just looking for the phrase or set of phrases that work for any particular part. And then what we have is a ongoing meditation that we can do all throughout the day. We can just have the system, we're walking around, we're having our beverage, welcome, 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 welcome. And this is traditional loving kindness practice where you're just practicing it all throughout the day and communicating in this sense directly with a phrase that is very specific for that specific part. That is actually extremely skillful to cultivate and develop. Let's see here. Exalted Bro says the following.
The Buddha said you shouldn't do the I am everything thing because then every tree cut down will hurt you or something. Does this make any sense, or is this an old way of thinking?
I don't know where the Buddha said that, and a lot of the time, not that he didn't, but a lot of time things are ascribed to the Buddha that are not the Buddha. There's a whole site of like things the Buddha didn't say, or maybe it's a whole Instagram feed or something. But the answer that I would say is no, because the pain of the tree being cut down is also the Buddha. Like it is all the Buddha. And I don't think that, I truly think that in Buddhism, it also depends which kind of, universe you're in, because there are universes in Buddhism. Buddhism's so diverse in its perspective. I'm talking about my perspective, and I'm not a strict Buddhist. So there you go. The reason we do the being everything experience is because that experience, awareness, doesn't care about all of the fights and difficulties that happen between parts. If a part is fully, we're fully identified or blended with that part thinks it needs to fight, it needs to protect itself, needs to, have an opposition. There is an inside and an outside. When we can experience over and over again that the world can break down and those borders can just go away, well, suddenly there's massive freedom from all of the bounds that hold us together, all of the separation that we experience. And then there is, over time, this connection with what we could call a kind of universal love, what some people call Buddha nature. Hindu, they call it true self. In religion, they call it God. Exalted also says,
the only true freedom is total detachment from everything, something like that.
Well, interestingly, I don't know that the Buddha said this, so what the phrase you said, I don't want to say he didn't, but I'm not sure. But in early Buddhism, the premise was that there were parts of us that we wanted to get rid of. And there's clinging, aversion, unconsciousness. We need to get rid of these. And once we're really, really awake, they're just gone and they're ripped out of the system. That's okay. I suppose if that's people's experience, that's lovely. I'm not going to argue that people shouldn't do that or it's not a great way to do it. It's not so much my experience. And my experience, as Buddhism moves forward, as Buddhism develops over time, different views come on. The later view is that those experiences of clinging and aversion, unconsciousness, all those things need to be transmuted or transformed, like alchemized. So instead of them being bad and get rid of, we need to destroy them. We need to take those things, the clinging and aversion, and turn them into gold, turn them into awakening. So the pain of the tree, being cut down, the attachment, all of these different things that actually, I just remembered another layer here. Okay, so that pain of the tree being cut down, that itself is actually freedom. There is freedom within that, and we can transmute that over time. A later stage of Buddhism says, actually, the pain itself is the freedom. It is the door. It's not something to transmute or transform or whatever, that every experience we have is full of Buddha nature. There is nothing outside of that. And it's part of our job to see all of it as empty, as spaciously transparent as possible, and to see that there is no disconnection. There's no such thing as disconnection. Something I want to mention also is that Buddhism is, in large part, a refutation of Hinduism. And sometimes it gets into these realms where we're debating language at a level that is helpful to some degree, is probably helpful to, at certain points in time. But like notice I said something pretty radical. This is either emptiness or it's true self. Well, we could get into a word argument on that like all day long. So remember that Hinduism had this sort of merging with everything quality, and the Buddha said, don't create a self out of anything. No self is better, like the non-existence of those experiences. At some point, though, it is true that identification with that non-dual experience is problematic, and that is something you eventually you want to break through. Duality, in a sense, can be an identification, or non-duality is like, that's what I'm identified with, is the non-duality of it. And I think he was talking about that point where we crack through that. So we are not everything. There is nothing. Everything is emptiness. So I think that might be the argument point. Excellent. Okay, so thank you. Let's try our Discord. Let's see if this is working at this moment. Chris, we're coming for you. If you can switch over now to audio just from the Discord, that would be great. And we'll go from there. If anyone else wants to jump on Discord, we're going to give that a try too. Love to hear what anyone has to say. I'll put the Discord link in here again if you want to jump on. And Discord me. Here we go. Where is the... Oh, it's down here. Thank you. Thank you, Self, for finding that. There's Chris. Excellent. So, Chris, we're dragging you in. Hey, Chris, can you hear me? Oh, I don't hear Chris. Let's see if there's some problem. I don't think it's my setting because we've succeeded at this before, but it could be. Could be my settings are messed up. Okay, Chris is talking right now, but it's not coming through. Okay, Chris, we're going to assume it's the same challenge as last time. We're just going to call it today unless somebody else wants to jump on and give it a try. That's fine. Any other questions, reports, comments, interest, opportunities, anything like that at all? Always fun. Today was a really fun exercise in the relationship of a few things. One is loving kindness and IFS, loving kindness and awareness practice, which is actually a distinction that's not usually drawn. People just will say lovely phrases and feel warm, fuzzy feelings, and then go from there. And then just a link between all of these and how these can work as a way to help our lives. If somebody doesn't mind looking in our, we cannot hear Chris either. Yeah, I know. We've had some problems. If anyone else wants to jump on Discord just to test it, because we've had problems with Chris's side for a while, so not a perfect candidate for this. Man, I have to bail, a little overwhelm, but it was great. Need to have a redo later. Lovely. If anyone can pull up the, look for in our second YouTube channel, the playbacks for the word diagram. There is a video that we did, IFS, and it's a diagram of how it relates to non-duality. And I kind of carefully go through that and draw it out for folks as we go along. So if anyone doesn't mind linking that in the chat, that would be really lovely. That would be a wonderful, helpful thing if anyone wants to. And Tamalan or Ima is watching this. Ima, if you can put that link, we'll have it in the video description at the top of the list. So just that video linked for folks. Thank you so much, folks. Lovely to be here with you as always. It is always such a pleasure to be here and have fun with you guys. We are going to be back here in fewer than 72 hours to meditate together again. Beep bop is excellent. So, folks, have a lovely weekend. Don't forget, at any time you can open up awareness, notice whole and part. This is a lovely continuous meditation that you can do. If you really want to, bullet train speed your meditation, do it as much as you possibly can. Thank you, Chris, for all your efforts. Lovely. Appreciate seeing you here. And here we go. Let's hear some music. Folks, lovely as always to be here with you. What a nice time we have together, having fun, good times for all. We have an opportunity in this particular moment, and that's what's important, is this moment itself, to connect with the skills we've been developing here. So take a moment to notice the way the mind is producing bits and pieces out of our experience. It's not just one experience, it's many tiny little experiences, and then the mind brings it into whole and then comes back and forth. This is a normal operation of the mind. So part of what we're doing is hanging out with the whole more often than not. Thank you, 1986. Sadhu to you. Very appreciated. So folks, as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very, very soon.